Joining us, the man with all the answers from somewhere around the world. It's Mike from around the world. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Pastor Paul, God bless you. It's a busy night.
I would say
very interesting, very busy and interesting and strange.
Yeah, Heidi and I got your email this morning, and we read it, and that was the most distressful or stressful email I think you've ever sent in all these years.
That's a bad situation.
So where do you want? I mean, look. There's a couple things here. We know we got all these attacks going on, or these threats, and we want you to talk about that. And then we got the crazy weather with the fog and the rogue waves. So let's start with the New Orleans and Las Vegas. What's going on, Mike?
Well, that New Orleans gentleman, right?
Yep.
Clearly, he was radicalized. Right. This guy was he was actually it is found that he has connections with ISIS and some other Middle Eastern parties. So he is absolutely radicalized against USA. The problem is there are, I'd say, millions of that same guy right here in this country.
Millions.
Right? Millions. Not hundreds of thousands, but millions. When you start going down the Islamic population within the USA, then you begin to think about how many have discussed the distresses of their homeland, right?
Yeah.
Then you find out by conversation through deep analytics, whatever method a person uses, how many would just love to see the USA gone out of the Middle East. You find, I believe the number's a little north of 1.5 million who are ready to do something, but they can't exactly openly say that.
Here in America?
Yeah,
you're saying
this guy's one of them right here in this country. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have issues here in this country, and that's just some of the more moderate people who are potentially operatives for, their interests in the Middle East to operate here in America by way of terroristic acts.
So, Mike, are these okay? So you're saying there's sleeper cells, but this is different. You're saying that there's people are being radicalized. Even this man was in the military. He was in the military, even.
This is in addition to the sleeper cells.
Okay.
Now, just imagine that. We have an issue that that's only going to be. It's going to take a severe, sweeping act. It's not going to be done by politics alone. That will never take place.
No.
To get to find, locate, either de-escalate, or we're going to have to do something because there are too many people within the USA who hate the USA.
They're not going to assimilate. We've seen this also during the Arab Spring when all the different nations were disrupted and leaders were taken out, and millions of migrants migrated into Europe. They never did assimilate. Like, as you know, Belgium, France, Germany, London, or England, they never assimilated at all. It's been chaotic there too.
Yeah. It's very, very dangerous too, because when you have people within a country that do not wish to adopt the culture of that country, right?
Yep.
You have a Hitler situation. You have a door opening where a person just like Hitler could come in with the same speech. I can almost guarantee you it may in the future, if we're not careful, if we drop the ball this time, we're going to have a Hitler situation right here in the USA. And the civilians are going to have to, kind of get up and force some things out. I believe our system of leadership is going to be forced to change.
So when you say a Hitler, are you meaning someone who will rise up among the people?
Yeah, just like Hitler, because think about that. Hitler appealed to the general heartstrings of his time, right? First, Hitler wanted to free his people. So anytime a people are oppressed in their own nation, they feel like they're put on the back burner. That's when you have to be careful. They have to be careful going forward, because you may have voices that begin to come forward to speak on behalf of those individuals, but these may be murderous individuals by heart, and they all have the same trademark. It's all the same Antichrist spirit.
Right.
They hate the Jews. They will never, no Antichrist spirit will ever speak for the Jews. Not ever.
Ever.
It doesn't matter what people think about the Jews. Every single Antichrist spirited person that has ever lived hated the Jews.
That's true.
And they spoke openly about their hate. We have people that may be, they may be stern in certain areas, but any Antichrist spirit is going to hate the Jews. Historically, it's been that way.
You're right.
Biblically, it's been that way. And they spoke openly about that hatred. So it's almost very easy to identify. No one has to guess. But, and we don't actually have that in position yet. Not yet. But they hated the Jews. They also, when they get people together, they instantly start forcing everybody else out. And this is where the problem comes in. Satan will always use avenues of freedom to oppress. He'll always do that. He'll always take these policies of freedom and turn them on their head. He perverts everything he touches. He does that on purpose. And we have, of course, our Bill of Rights for freedoms. We have the Constitution.
Right.
We have a lot of mechanisms in place to lock freedoms in, but Satan desires to pervert the majority of them. And he will utilize, if we're not careful, he'll utilize this opportunity to cause those freedoms to be turned inside out. Through, for example, if we have too many terrorist operations within the USA, how are you going to get rid of all those who are sympathetic to ISIS type, ways of life? How do you get rid of those people? Well, you can't, realistically, you cannot go house by house and get people out, but I can almost guarantee you in certain states that will happen. So people might want to get ready.
So do you think during the deportation agenda of the illegals, especially the dangerous illegals at first, those who have committed crimes, those who are actually part of gangs, or those that we can have identified already as being dangerous, but in this process, how do you feel? And the American people voted for this. They say, yes, we have to do this. We have to clean this system. We have to shut down the border. But how is the rest of the world going to perceive Trump and America during this process?
Well, is it necessary? Yes. For the most extreme criminals, right? But here's the issue. A criminal is somebody who's been caught, right?
Right.
How many more have not been caught? And it's hard to tell who's going to do what.
Right.
The sweeping action of going, getting those people they know that are on a list, they need to explain to the people, hey, these folks have already been isolated. These folks have already been identified. These folks are dangerous. If they told that to the people, it'd be different. But if they go and have the perception of profiling, something like that,
right.
No country will accept that.
No, even though the reasoning for it is to protect our longevity of our Constitution and the betterment, it's still not going to be accepted. It's going to be criticized.
That's right. What will happen is if they go forward in the wrong way. But here's my prediction on that. Okay. Here's my prediction. Trump, I know for a fact he wants to get the dangerous people out of here.
Right.
I know that. Because he's got a lot of close people who are, of a different ethnic type, and they too would fit the profile of someone who needs to be, extradited to another country. But he's after those criminals, those people. He understands has an affiliation with some of these. The car word. I'm not going to say the full word, that causes too much attention, but when you have an affiliation with dangerous people in Mexico and other places, he already knows who they are. He wants those people gone because he knows exactly what they can do and what they have done. The problem is that people they won't perceive it the way it actually is. And they will say, well, they're going to have an argument. The Democrats will, and so will other countries. They're going to say, if any country gets away with doing this to the criminals, who's to say they won't stop with other races? Then we're going to have a problem. And if he does this, if he actually succeeds, take note, that's going to be law. Right, it's going to be written into the laws that you're able to do this. And if you get some corrupt individual to take that seat in the presidency, that person, by the law, can then do the same thing to anybody he deems dangerous.
Right.
That's the same thing Hitler did. So you got to be careful going forward not to open up, the Hitler years again, because it'll happen. So when they're going to have to be careful going forward. They're going to be stopped on many different fronts. Everybody, because Obama did the same thing. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, I know he did.
Obama did the exact same thing. He went through and he snatched people. He approved it to get those people out of the country. Right?
Yes.
He did the exact same thing. People need to know that because they don't know that. Trump just wants to he's going to do that same thing. All right.
Yep.
But what he's not going to do, because the Obamas did separate parents from children.
Yeah, they did.
They did. Right. They just, it was like
they did it kind of stealthily, but they did deport over 5 million people in his 8 years as president.
Yeah.
More than anybody.
When they tallied the numbers, Pastor Paul, it was more than 5 million.
Probably was.
Yep. It was much more. So anyway, those things that they have to explain that to the people.
Yep.
And really lay that out. They've got to spend some time to make sure people understand that.
Amen.
And to get these, because I'll tell you, we have a dangerous situation right now. One thing, Pastor Paul, I'll say about how important that is to get these evil people out.
Okay.
But what the catch-22 will be. You have bad folks, these gangs, right?
Yeah.
That are manufacturing fentanyl.
Yes.
There is a declarative action that will go active against the USA. Here's one element of that action: fentanyl. 2 grains, not 2 grams. 2 grains of fentanyl has been made with a potency that it would kill a dozen people, more than a dozen people.
2 grains, not 2 grams.
That's not 2 grams. 2 grains. That means if you touch it, if anybody touches it, they're going to die.
It'll kill them.
They're going to die. Now, here's the bad part. You do realize that America has essentially been infiltrated by loyalists and by operatives and by all categories of people who utilize fentanyl. You do realize that these gangs have power over these people. And there have been people lately dying from touching cereal boxes in stores or, different things. Can you imagine how terrible that would be if you woke up one morning and you saw that 700,000 people have died simply by going to a set of grocery stores or going to a fast food restaurant, right? Something as simple as that. You touch it, you're gone, right? You touch money that has a little bit on there, you're dead. Even a 1/100th of a grain can kill a person in about an hour.
So
if you take a 1/100th of a piece of a grain, right, that can kill a person in an hour.
So you're saying, Mike, that the new fentanyl that's coming in now is strategically being
specifically manufactured
to kill. This is to kill as many Americans as possible.
Yes. You're
crazy.
talking hundreds of millions of dollars worth.
Now, China's got to be behind this as part of this. I'm not going to put it all on them, but I mean, this is where the chemicals that make the fentanyl comes from for the most part. It may be manufactured in Mexico, but the components, a lot of it comes from China. I mean, am I right?
They have, well, they supply specific components, yes, right?
Yep.
But the process, Pastor Paul, to concentrate something like that, right?
Yeah.
Originated in Panama.
Ah.
Panama is a big topic right now. Remember,
is that why Trump wants it back?
A lot of people don't know that Panama is drug central. And when they had Operation Just Cause,
yeah,
there were a lot of us old folks in the water those days, and it was a bad place.
So, Mike, now Trump is saying he wants to take Panama Canal back, and he wants to buy Greenland. What's he really trying to do? Is expand the borders to protect our nation?
Yeah, he understands that these places they're crucial for the security of the USA.
Yep.
He understands that. But you can't outright explain that to people because history has been lost. For example, you start saying Operation Just Cause, people can look that up, but they have no context for it. They don't know what that fight was about. And here we are again. The same thing happening, and the stakes are very high. By the way, Pastor, those in Mexico, they have access to Gen 6 fighters. You know that, right?
No, but that's new information for me. But you can go there if you want to. We can talk a little bit about that.
Well, let's go ahead, because they have access to Gen 6 fighters.
Okay. They
have access to Generation 5 battleships. They have access to things comparable to an Abrams tank. Some of the new firing systems. They have access to air defense artillery. They have access to anything a modern day army would have access to. So what has happened, and maybe somebody will expand on this, is those ragtag groups are not ragtag groups. They're not. They are sophisticated. One of the hacks in the USA, I'm going to say allegedly, they were behind it. They compromised the cellular phone system that day.
Wow.
They compromised bank access that day. They are deeply embedded, and they've declared war on the USA.
Yeah, the war is.
It's not a joke, because you're talking about. I think at present count, you're looking at 1.2 million troops. Their troops. You're looking at it. It is not the story
that we're getting.
Somebody needs to open up this story, because that puts Texas right in the crosshairs. That puts every single politician that would work in that vicinity and to Washington, D.C. in the crosshairs. There are too many declarations that all the politicians in this current administration are going to pay with their lives.
Are you serious? So yes. Mike, you're saying that the cartels in Mexico have the capability to have airplanes, fighter jets, rockets, precision equipment, and are funded well enough, they can pay their fighters well enough. They have an army. You're saying they could go to war, literally, with the United States of America.
For the last few years, they have been training people. They have the equipment. They've been training people. They've been in cahoots with other governments. It's not the story that people think it is. It is not. And certain people have, they have the inside track on this.
Right.
And some of the arguments are ridiculous, but Pastor, it's a real problem, because now the declarations are made and they're not being withdrawn. So you're looking at essentially the sons of captured drug lords are now running these other cartels.
Yes. So the Chapos and these people. Let me ask you a question. Maybe this kind of goes with it. This guy from Colorado Springs, Matthew Livesberger, 37 years old, a Green Beret, special ops, was deployed in multiple countries on behalf of the United States in special operations, was highly decorated with Bronze Stars and Medals of Valor. Why in the world would he all of a sudden rent a Tesla Cybertruck, fill it with all kinds of explosives, and park it in the front door of a Trump hotel in Vegas and blow the thing up? Mike, what part of this story? Part of the story is almost like this is almost too unbelievable to believe. I mean, it's either he's MK Ultra or he wasn't the one that did it. He was just, can help me understand this one, Mike.
Well, first of all, MK Ultra would be a lot cleaner, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
And whoever did it did not know about the Cybertruck. I mean, that's when somebody of that caliber, Green Beret, right? They're used to operating at a heightened operational tempo.
Right.
They would know the specifications of that truck, the explosive ordnance, and how it would react upon detonation.
Right.
Evidently, they did not. They didn't know that. So that was weird. That was weird.
Yeah,
Plus,
weird.
what he used was weird. If it were, so it's almost like he was, and even if that were MK Ultra, if that were him, he just lost it. That's still sloppy. It's too sloppy for a Green Beret. It's too sloppy.
Oh yeah, I agree. Right? It's way too sloppy for a Green Beret. Don't operate. Special op guys don't do that. So something got in that guy's head. Something took control of his mind.
That leads me to believe that. Now I'm going to bring up a scenario.
Okay.
Just a scenario. What if? That's going to go back to Mexico.
Okay, that's what
if they got to him, right?
Okay.
What if they set up everything and they got to him?
Okay.
And they were, because he had a brand new baby daughter.
Yeah, why would he kill him?
What if they got to him? I know for a fact cartels will not, they don't care about children. They don't care about family. They don't care about anybody else but themselves. And they will utilize anything they can to meet their objectives. And it looks like, if there's a signature, it looks like somebody got to him. Somebody got to him. We don't know who, but somebody got to him. And there he was sitting in, and they say he took his own life, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing. When you have been in the bush one too many times, right, you kind of get used to it. So certain things will not make you snap because you're already in this mindset to operate like that. Now, I can assure you, the cover story the media is going to have to use is they're going to say this guy probably saw too much. He just saw too much combat or too much. They might use that word operational tempo. They might say, his operational tempo was so high that he just lost it, because it does go like that sometimes. But the whole setup, shooting himself, how the truck was set up utilizing a Tesla, not knowing the specifications about how it would detonate, it does not add up for a Green Beret. He would know all of that like the back of his hand. Yeah. And he would not, his selection of things would be different, utilizing fireworks and common things you can find at Walmart, and then go and detonate the thing. It doesn't, and then kill yourself in the process.
It don't fit with a baby daughter at home. Something is not fitting the MO here. So
that's right. I believe somebody got to him. I do.
Maybe they threatened to kill his family. Maybe they threatened to kill him. And so you take yourself out, or we're going to kill your whole family. Yeah.
There you go. Because I know if you're not going to get to a person like that unless you get to somebody close to them. Right. I know that for a fact. Because you're not going to those.
Okay, and what was the message it's trying to send? Elon Musk at Tesla, Donald Trump's hotel. Was this the sign of a resistance? We've been hearing governors of California, Illinois, New York saying we're setting in laws, we're setting procedures, we're setting law enforcement in position for the Trump resistance.
They're too late. Okay. Passpal, listen, they're too late. You know what? I hate to say this, but we are so laxed in security. There's no way. Can they protect everybody in Congress? Can they protect everybody at the White House? Can they protect every governor?
No.
War has been declared on all politicians. All of them. All of them are targets right now. And when things go into effect and the clock is counting down, because we're looking at this weekend coming up, not this weekend, but the weekend after this weekend coming up, for operations to have initialized. From the looks of it, this could be part of that operation. a warning shot across the bow.
Yeah.
They're not going to engage that with civilians, but if they have to utilize civilians, they will. Right? They want to keep it military. And China, they continue to have operations in Mexico, right? And sometimes the Mexican government does not know about the operations of China. What does that tell you? That they've been working with somebody else
with the drug
Mexico.
cartels. Yeah, so China may be working with the drug cartels. They don't care about the Mexican government. They're interested in working with the real players, the real power, the real money, the real.
So we have that's right. So we have a group of guys who are greedy. They are killers.
Yep.
Those groups in Mexico, and they have declared war on the USA. And believe it or not, I'll tell you something. Our country is always surprised in those areas they never considered. And no one has ever considered a nation, right, to go to war with a cartel. Are you kidding me?
That's great.
No one that seems like that's ridiculous. Like, why would a cartel, a cartel stands no chance. I think that's the most powerful army in the world. But, Pastor Paul, I'm telling you, this is turning into a nightmare.
It's going to be ugly. Yeah, because they'll go after the way they took over Mexico, and I say this, the drug cartels own Mexico, is they killed the mayors, they killed the judges, they killed the political leaders to the point that these guys are scared to death of them. Whatever they want, you can do, just don't kill me and my family. They basically have hijacked Mexico. So if they can do that to Mexico, they could use the same tactics against the American government by going for the people in position and their families. Similar tactics.
I think they want kill shots. Yeah, they want. I can already tell you what they want. They want America to bleed in front of the whole world. Yeah. They want to disgrace America by showing its weakness. And they've already said that the blood's going to flow.
They don't want this borders. They don't want this border shut down, do they?
They don't want the fentanyl to stop.
No, they don't. And now they're making it worse.
Yeah, and now it's so bad that things have already happened, Pastor Paul, that, to touch a little baggie of fentanyl is a death sentence, even with gloves on. You're going to have a certain type of, these guys are tech savvy. These guys, they have degrees. When was the last time you've known of a gang, right? And all of them have doctorates. This is what these guys have been doing. I know. This is what they've been.
Chemists.
How in the world can you have? There was one small group that had, I believe it was comprised of about 400 or 500 people. All of them had doctorates, and below them, I believe it was 5,000 or 6,000 below them. All of them had masters, a master's degree in engineering, psychology, and all these other areas of discipline. So you're facing an element that nobody ever saw. And these guys have been, they've been biding their time.
Yes.
But now they're going to make a move.
Yeah.
This is
what's got you up at night. And we're coming in on the inauguration.
This does, yes.
I know. And so here we are 18 days out from the inauguration of President Trump. And we got Jimmy Carter. Okay, so Jimmy Carter passes away. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be laying in state in Atlanta. There's terroristic threats all over this country. I'm hearing in Atlanta is one of the areas. Then they're going to move his body to the Capitol for 36 hours. Then he finally gets buried. But in that process, then you just take the Carter funeral situation. That's going to bring a high security into Washington. And then here comes President Trump and his inauguration. I mean, aren't you concerned? I would say that the country, is there something big planned? Do you think there is the wickedness of darkness to try to stop him from even getting sworn in, or assassinate him, or kill a lot of Americans that show up for the ceremony? Maybe.
Well, one of his biggest opposing factors would be those of the Middle East.
Yeah,
those of the Middle East. Believe it or not, they want him. They don't want him to take office. No. Which is why the Houthis, all these Iranian subsidiaries, these attack dogs, have upped their ante against Israel. They're becoming quite specific against Israel, and their targeting methods are becoming quite lethal themselves. So Israel is also stretched very thin It's only by God's grace that we're being sustained right now. Only we have the might, we have the power, but we do not have the coordination. We don't have people are not working together. We don't have unity.
That's
we have
true.
too much division.
Yeah.
And so division is division is one of the worst things to ever fight. It causes people to be demoralized within, with the ranks of individuals. And so we have some different things that will take place in America. I can tell you right now, people may not like, they may not like what's about to happen. No. But what's about to happen is going to be so far outside of the ordinary. And Trump already knows that they're going to, try to paste his name to everything. He already knows that. They're going to blame it on him. He's ready to assume the blame if he gets, that far. But see, we as everybody outside of Trump, they have to be very careful. Pastor Paul, I'm telling you right now, imagine Trump, he's inaugurated. He gets in the White House, and then something happens to Trump. That means it won't be Trump in power. It's going to be somebody else in power, right?
Right.
You have to really, these are the days when nobody should ever say this or that will not happen, because people are about to see, not just, you would expect heads of state to be targets, they are, and 1 or 2 to fall. But what if 12 fell? What if 20 fell? 20 were targeted or something like that. What if every single expectation was ballooned by a factor? These are the days we live in. They can't trust the person to the left or to the right of them. There's going to be betrayal. You're going to see that unfold big time. Nobody would suspect how that betrayal is going to take place. They're going to see betrayal, right?
Yes.
I warned everybody about something a long time ago. I said, we're moving into this digital age. And Christians better prepare themselves for this. There's an application that's being studied right now. It finally it's out there. It's somebody has perfected this software, but here it is. Anybody I've ever had contact with and had a discussion with or about, that person's about to receive everything I discussed. So if I were to say we go back, 20 years, and I said, that person's crazy. They don't, I wasn't talking to that person. I was talking to somebody else. Well, guess what's going to happen? That software is going to deliver that content to the person I was talking about.
Well, that's going to cause
chaos
in the land.
Do you realize that how many people are going to be? Can you imagine how many families are going to fall apart?
A lot, like 95%.
Just to know, because this is why I say Christians have to be highly aware of this, because if it's like a gift from the Lord. I asked the person one time, I said, listen, this person said, well, I just want to know people. I said, well, you have to have your heart right. You got to have a lot of love. They said, well, I do. I said, okay, so if God showed you the truth about a person, would you love them more or hate them? If you saw that they were a child molester 20 years ago, would you love them more or hate them for what they did 20 years ago? I said, if you're going to hate them, God cannot give you the gift. He cannot do it. He's not going to give somebody a gift that's going to raise hatred, right? He can't do that, because everybody has a past, and some pasts are insufferable. They are. So if we learn the truth about someone, is it going to cause us to love that person more? Are we going to exercise forgiveness and truth? Or are we just, talking? So imagine a program that unveils that for you.
Wow.
That lets you know every dirty little thing about everybody.
Wow.
Can you imagine how many families would fall apart? Because I can assure you, everybody does not have. They have forgiveness on the surface, but they cannot forgive certain things within themselves. They're not to that point yet. And when that's unleashed, it's going to turn each country one by one upside down. It's going to attack the civilian populations. And it's not just coming to the USA. Right? This is going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
And everybody has a digital device.
That's true. And everybody's and more are going to. Matter of fact, what you just brought up is something interesting. Our next webinar, guys, will be this month, January 24th. And we've come up with the title. It's Trump, AI, and the Cyber Society. Well, and I know, Mike, from the world, you'll have plenty to say.
There's some secrets about AI. Yeah, there's some secrets to AI that. Oh well, you want a secret tonight?
You want to tell us the secret tonight? Sure.
It defies belief.
Okay.
The war in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Right. All right, everybody, buckle up for this.
I'm ready.
I can't go into detail, but I'm sure there are details out there. Be careful of where this trail will lead you, because everybody is not truthful about about what's really happening. But remember that movie, Terminator?
Yes, right? I do. Yes.
And
yes,
there's been a commander in the Ukraine, but the commander is not human.
What?
It's not human.
Is he Russian or Ukrainian side? Which side's he on?
Ukrainian side.
Okay.
But it's not human.
In
fact, it was the reason why Putin almost quit engaging with Ukraine, period. Do you know that?
No, I did not.
Because it's learning every single operation. It's learning. It launched, what was it? I think it was 2,800 drones. That it flew 2,800 drones.
It was the one managing.
It was highly effective.
It was. So it's an AI commander that was.
And it was cutting orders to human beings. It was on the radio to human beings. It was flying the drones. It was coordinating defensive and offensive operations. It's learning. It was a baby when it began.
It's running the war.
It's not Ukraine. A baby anymore. Not a baby anymore.
So an AI commander, if you will, was able to bark out the orders to the different divisions and units and fly 2,800 drones in precision where they're supposed to go. Basically, an AI commander-in-chief is right now running the war in Ukraine.
All it's doing is learning.
Learning how to be able to fight a bigger war for the United States, apparently.
I'll tell you something. It's plugged in to some lethal systems, but the success rate of this device is extraordinary. It's extraordinary.
High.
Think of a machine right now that would be able to engage every war on the planet simultaneously.
Oh my Lord.
Without heating up. That's what it has the ability to do right now. Think of an AI that not only could engage war, but it could engage in politics at the same time and do other things as well.
Well, that's the Antichrist.
Because people, they don't quite get the nature of AI. I told you a few year ago that I built a neural net. Right?
Yes, you did.
At
you said
COT.
That about a year and a half ago. You said that.
You don't program the thing to do anything, right? It's a neural net. So either it learns or you just, threw away your resources. So AI learns like a person because it's based off the neurological development of the human brain. But that pace can be iterated, right? Sent into circles at a very fast pace. So it can go from 0 to a toddler in a few hours. You can go from 0 to a teenager in a week. You can go from 0 to, a 10,000-year-old Einstein in a week and a half, because the learning curve is exponential, right? It's exponential.
Yeah. They
lied to people saying that AI has not rivaled anybody. You know what? Big Blue was 500 times smarter than Einstein. And that was back in the day. Today we have AI systems that some of its smaller counterparts are about 10,000 times smarter than Einstein. Something happened at CERN that's a direct result of AI. They're breaking all barriers. They're breaking all barriers.
They're busting everything.
Nobody has heard anything from CERN in a while.
No, we haven't.
Made any sense or any contribution, Pastor?
No.
They're even suppressing what's happening there. They have to.
Because it would scare the human race if we knew exactly.
Some things happened, but people love to record things, and unfortunately they couldn't stop this. So I'll tell you this. science fiction is no longer science fiction. How about that?
It's the real deal.
And people are going to find out anyway. And it's reshaping everything.
So, so Mike, when you say that the commander is not human, in other words, he's not a robot walking around in the field. This is a brain center, some type of machine, brain apparatus that is calling all the shots and managing this war.
Absolutely.
Like a group of generals sitting around looking at a map on a table. Forget that. This thing is doing it all in the sky, on the ground, in the air, in the boats, on the ships.
Well, how do you think the Ukraine has been effective in this regard? It is holding off Russia.
Yeah, it is. It has been.
Yes. And it does so not to defeat Russia, but to stop Russia on every single front.
Yeah.
And it's been succeeding in doing that with minimal resources. You don't run a proxy war against a major power. You don't do that. That's ridiculous.
Unless you have an incredible advantage.
That's right.
The advantage is the brain power of this that can manage resources so effectively that nothing like it.
Mm-hmm. So it's already, it's been out there for some time. Now, here's the bad thing. Once you develop AI like that, to get that same level of leadership into another piece of hardware is done through the press of a button. That's the bad part. Suppose somebody stole the software, right? A terrorist organization stole that software. They would instantly have a machine that would be capable of operating, a war with Western or NATO tactics. And this is out there. But more and more people are going to begin to hear about this, and it's just beginning.
Well, I guess the Lord led us to for this webinar coming up. We didn't know this information from you at all, but the Lord spoke to us. Me and Heidi were talking today, and my son Paul, and it came to us that this webinar, if you look at what's going on today, this webinar is going to be called Trump, because it's the era of Trump. Trump, the AIs, and the cyber society. And we thought we would take this as the title and get the best experts we could, of course, starting with Mike from around the world, to help us understand the next 4 years during a Trump era with the increased knowledge of AI and the cybersecurity, cyber everything society. What are we about to encounter? Where is this going? So I leave that with you. We'll talk more about that. Mike, I do have to bring up former President Bashar al-Assad. He was, he was poisoned first day of the year, and he choked, he coughed, he fell out of his chair. I understand they had to get medical personnel in there to get him through the night. They stabilized him the next day. But, boy, it didn't take long. I mean, he brought $130 billion worth of gold. Shouldn't that give you more than 30 days to live in Russia?
Yeah, they're going to continue to go after that guy. He is hated big time.
He's not going to make it, is he?
People. He's kind of like Saddam Hussein, who has caused a lot of people to suffer. Right? Yeah. He did essentially some of the same things Saddam Hussein did. Throwing people alive in places where they shouldn't be, torture of families and children alike. So, a lot of people are going to be after him. In fact, he'll have a fate that's worse than Saddam's, similar to Gaddafi and some of these other people, because he is, that guy is, he seems to be immune. He's been running for a long time, escaping these consequences.
He has no more protection.
Now that he has no more support from his own people, they will get him, because Russia continues to be overwhelmed with now, unless I'm going to put a clause in there, unless there's an issue with Russia, period. And I'd hate to bring this up again, but even more Islamic forces are those who are tied to Islam or have entered into the ranks of the Russian army.
The Chechen.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, they're about to, I cannot help but to say during Trump's inauguration, if he gets that far, we're going to have to face that mechanism. And and I know, they're ruthless.
Yeah.
They're not going to negotiate.
No.
They are ruthless. right?
No.
Here's essentially what we're facing. We have a lot of betrayal coming. People are going to see that in the Trump camp. They're going to see it in the Putin camp. They're going to see it in everybody's camp. Everybody who believes in Christ, remember, they're just men. And everything that's happening is happening for the deliverance of the saints. But we're going to see things. We will witness a nuclear problem. We will witness that. But nature, what people call nature, that's going to be our worst enemy. The worst enemy. War is not going to compete with what nature will do. It will not compete with it. And no one can escape that.
Talk about the fog, because that's a big one right now. This fog is everywhere, and I've seen it. On my birthday, down in Clearwater, Florida, we were sitting there on the beach, just kind of we were just sitting in lawn chairs, relaxing, and beautiful day. And all of a sudden, this fog on a sunny day, out of nowhere, beautiful. The water was blue, the sky was blue. All of a sudden, there came a weird white fog, and it just blanketed the whole city. You couldn't see 2 foot in front of your face. And Mike, this is going on all over the country.
It's been analyzed.
And people say they smell chemicals. They smell something in the air.
It's been fully analyzed. Okay. Now, what the makeup of that is it's been fully analyzed.
Okay.
And there's only one person, because a long time ago I talked about fog. Do you remember that?
I do.
A perpetual fog.
Yeah, I remember saying a couple of things. You talk about a perpetual fog, and you talk about an ash environment. Okay, I remember those comments. But talk about the fog.
Well, that dream about the fog, I've only known one other person to have a dream about fog, and that was you had a person, that was Tanya from West Virginia, in your chat room a long time ago.
Years ago, yeah. She
was the only other person I knew that ever had that same dream about fog. That fog was, it's a real thing. It's a real condition. Let's put it that way. Through multiple, changes within the earth. I guess what people want to know, is it manufactured? Well, I'll tell you something. If it was manufactured, nobody escaped it, because fog dissipates and traverses the world. So if it was manufactured, in another 72 hours, the whole earth will have been exposed, period. Right? And nobody can escape that. Number two, though, if anything is meant to maim a person and they can't do anything about it, that's when the Lord nullifies it. He'll nullify it in a heartbeat.
Okay.
If it's meant for damaging the saints, but they can't do anything about it, right? They don't have to worry about that. That is scripture. The Lord said he's got that. So just like, was it Paul, who was bit by a serpent? He just kind of shook it off and kept walking.
Right, exactly.
So we do the same thing. When we can't do anything about it, we can't provoke, things, of course, and we wouldn't purposely stick our head in a box full of serpents. But when we can't do anything about it, the Lord has us. He's got our backs on that. But this fog, expect more of it. The reason why, I'll say again, not only do we have factories and everything else in the world, and explosions are taking place all over the earth, but we have a compression event in the atmosphere. So then everything up there is not going to dissipate normally, right? It's not going to be recycled back into the earth. We have volcanism. Just a couple of weeks ago, Pastor Paul, we were talking about that. Volcanism is about to begin again.
Okay.
In a very, very dangerous way. And people are going to know what volcanism is when they start looking off the coast, out there in the Pacific. They're going to find out what volcanism is. We have some monsters in the Pacific.
Okay, now what about these waves that hit Peru, Chile, and Ecuador here? Just rogue waves. It killed people. It destroyed boats. It wrecked coastlines, and they came out of nowhere. Mike, is that from volcanism?
No, that was from winds.
Winds.
We know what a microburst is, right?
Yeah.
A microburst is essentially a downpouring of winds that will take planes out of the air. Now, amplify that due to cold weather and add the factor of weight to it, right? So if it can pull a plane out of the air and it is a known fact that a microburst can cause a tsunami of about what they say 25 foot high wave, right?
Wow.
we already have rogue waves out there. We already have, wind-driven waves that have toppled ships. So think about a type of microburst with heavy, cold air in the center. I mean, cold air that essentially is traveling at about 150 miles an hour, and it slams into the ocean floor, except the volume is so large that nothing can stop it. That's almost like, that's like dropping a bomb right there on the waters and creating a tsunami. That's what it's like. So that was caused from temperature shears, from extreme cold temps dripping from the atmosphere. Meteorologists, in fact, they've been, I doubt if they're allowed to say it, but they've been trying to warn people that an event is coming. And some people have been throwing in some language. In other words, this Arctic event that we're about to have, we're going to have extremely cold air coming in from the upper atmospheres, dripping about, I'd say, maybe about 100 feet from the surface of the Earth. That's an instant freeze.
Yeah, you talked about that about a month ago.
Yes, yes, because it's happened before.
Yeah.
Not only in the past thousands of years ago, but it has happened recently in our modern times, and it froze waterfalls, it froze water fountains, it froze ducks without distress. Can you imagine ducks in a pond and they're not distressed? They were instantly frozen. Right? It froze bugs. It froze everything. And we've had that in modern times. We're going to have that again during this hurricane. These hurricanes that were forming this year, cold air hit the surface of the ocean, and it caused a thin layer of ice to form on the oceans instantly, right? The vortex.
So the cold air is coming right out of deep space, I take it.
Yeah, and deep space cold air is so cold it will freeze. And there's a movie that was written, and if you look into the writer of that movie, they were trying to communicate something that's been witnessed over and over again, something that may seem like entertainment, but it's not, because we'll eventually face issues like that. And all of this is being caused because of our sun.
Yeah.
The sun is going volatile big time.
Yes.
I mean, the sun is going to it's going to have some hyperactivity to it that we've not witnessed before. And that's going to affect all the weather here. So people ought to get ready. We're going to have that water event. We have not had the water event yet. We'll know when we have the water event, when there's not a dry spot on this earth that you can step. That's when you'll know you had the water event. Following that water event, that climax, right? Because they're already starting to tell people, Pastor Paul, what we talked about 10 years ago, which is that the atmosphere has a potential to hold, factors more water than it used to. So now it can hold, in certain aspects, it can hold 5 times more water than it used to. A cloud may have weighed 250,000 tons. And so now that's increased, it's ballooned. The atmosphere has a lot more potential of holding moisture. That's where you get these atmospheric rivers from. Yeah. These are essentially suspended rivers over your head.
They just kind of water.
Keep that water, and then poof, it drops it all in one location. So this summer, everybody ought to be warned. In every location that experienced floods, the world's not going to tell anybody, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. You might want to reconsider your location. That's a fact. Nobody else is going to say that. But Pastor, watch what happens when this water comes. Some people have been getting flooded every single year.
Yeah.
At what point do they not heed the warning?
Yeah. So
they already know the map of the U.S. is going to change.
Yeah.
These are
that Navy map already told us that.
Because we're not going to be so fortunate this year coming about. I honestly believe in it. I know I said that the hour of Babylon was 14th of December.
Right.
But doesn't it seem like we've had an escalation in all areas of things since the 14th of December?
Oh, yeah. Even since the 1st of January. But it seems that way, like everything is gone. It's just going off the scales. Yeah. The water, nobody's going to tell those people in Carolina, don't put your homes back there. Because
Hurricane Elena. Well, what if we have?
You're thinking we're going to
two or
have
three of
another
those?
one of those, and we're going to have
Two or three.
Yeah,
Two or three.
I really feel like it that this is year 25. We're going to see some very bad storms. Texas worries me in my spirit, but other parts also that we're going to see tremendous cyclones and typhoons also in Asia, because something's happening. Well, the sun. You said it earlier. The sun is affecting the earth,
Yes, it is.
which is what the prophecies of the Bible said would happen in the last days. It said it would rain on one city and not two others, and then he said it would be drought here, but there'd be extreme weather here. The sun would be scorching men. We're going to have heat waves. Do you see heat waves coming again this year, Mike?
Well, Pastor, 2024 shattered all records for heat.
Okay.
2025 is going to shatter every record we ever thought possible.
Here we go.
2024 shattered all the wind speed records. 2025 is going to be worse. 2024 shattered most of the flood records.
Yep.
2025 is going to be worse. It's going to be worse. So now we'll see half of a country is going to be taken by water this year, 2025ve.
It's just going to be incredible events. So we're in this apocalyptic era now. I mean,
we are, and it's not going backward. It's getting worse.
Right, the Earth is shaking and wobbling. The north, the axis seems like it's tilting. All of these events that are happening with it, we're seeing it is multiplying and quadruple and multiplicity taking place exponentially. So people need to give their heart to Jesus Christ. I mean, we've been preaching this. Mike, you and I have been on here every week since 2011 or 12, I think it was. And I mean, so for 12 years, 13 years, we have been begging people. And we've been saying, things are coming, things are coming. Well, guess what? The things we said were coming have happened and beyond. We went there and beyond. And the Middle East, we said the Middle East was going to blow up. Here it is. We said Europe was going to have a war. Russia eventually. Here we are. You said Russia would never leave Ukraine. They're still there. I mean, everything we talk about is pointing to the coming of Jesus Christ. Seriously. But before he gets here, according to the Bible, it's going to get worse. We're not there yet. I think we still got more to go, don't you?
Yeah, I think people assume that they're going to be alive when Jesus comes. Well, you know what? A lot of people have gone to be with him already.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
We don't know the day nor the hour for ourselves either.
No,
we don't know that.
Nope.
So my personal concentration is in the servitude part and the demonstration part to others.
Amen.
Because this time that we live in right now is going to become quite distressing for those around us. But that's actually an opportunity, because, Pastor Paul, people do not listen when conditions are favorable to them. Yeah. And look at the sin in the world. Look at the sin in the world.
Oh, my God.
Look at the immorality, because conditions are favorable to them. But if they have a shakeup, if their home is shaken, if their homeland is shook up and everything is shook up, if they become desperate, they're going to be looking for some type of salvation. It's going to cause them, an alert will go off in their brains to stop the foolishness. The party's over. Yeah. Let's get back to, and they're going to reconsider who they are. The Lord will have representatives on this earth with his word to reach out in a terrible time.
Amen.
With the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
For those, for those last few. That'll be a great opportunity, because then the people who have stayed with the gospel all this time, and people thought they were nuts and crazy. Now, it's not for vindication or anything like that, but those people are going to reconsider everything. Amen. Right? Yes, when they see what happens over Geneva, Switzerland, and Maine, there's going to be something that will happen over CERN that will maintain itself for, I'm estimating, about 5 to 6 days. Anybody who sees that is going to reconsider everything they ever thought was real, because at that point, that's going to break every barrier of reality they ever thought they had. We continue to go through an escalation cycle of something else, and we have hit the point where some extraordinary things have happened. Now we have a lot of Delta operators coming forward, a lot of special operations folks coming forward, and they have a message for everybody. They have a message for everybody. So the Trump administration is going to be a very different one, and it has its own challenges. But there are some hidden stories.
It's going to come out.
Are fully going to be revealed. Yep. Right? They're fully going to be now. When they are revealed, Again, it's not for the vindication of the Christian, but we already know about Nephilim. We already know about fallen
we know
angels.
about all that.
We already know about the origins of such things.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't.
Yep.
They don't know that, but they're going to find out that this world, right, that they have been kept by grace. When they see it, they're going to say, well, the only thing that's kept us alive is God's mercy and grace.
Amen.
They're going to finally find that out. I believe that will happen, but still, the Lord will have his representatives here on this earth to person to person distribute his word.
Amen.
He can do everything by himself. He does not need us. He loves us.
Right.
There's a difference. It's a big difference there. And so he already said he would work through us. He said, press down, shake together, running over, shall men give into your bosom.
Amen.
Well, that means he's going to work through us. Not supernaturally so much to everybody, but
work
through
people.
us. It will come through, that's right, through us.
Yes.
Yep. And that's exactly, by the way, that's what Satan attempts to stop.
Amen.
He attempts to stop a person. He wants a person to look for the miracle, like, something to fall out the sky, when God has already decreed he would work through the vessels he has sent to this earth.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
The people of the earth. So that's why people have this contradiction within their own spirits. It's almost like you're supposed to do something, but you don't want to do it, because if people, I heard a guy say one time, well, if God cared, he would just do it himself. He does, but he already decreed that he would do it through us.
Yeah, he's not going to break his word. He's not going to change his word.
He won't. No, he won't. So think of this. Everybody should think of this. Think of it the next time your spirit changes and God puts anything on your heart and you don't do it. Just think of that he already said he's going to work through us.
Yes.
Somebody will not get the benefit of servitude if we hold back.
Amen. That's why we should be obedient, folks. You eat the good of the land. Mike, this has been powerful. You've dropped a lot of bombs today, but you've also confirmed something about the webinar coming up, that we're on the right track, because you broke some stuff out, but a lot of areas, a lot of concerns, a lot to pray about, but a lot to be excited about, because Jesus is still on the throne. Mike, thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you.
Pastor, God bless and God keep you as always in honor.
The honor's mine. God bless you.